Oh, it's about that time again. It is about that time again because I only break out this shirt once a year. And that's whenever we're honoring the channel's anniversary. 8 years of ARTV, guys. Thank you. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to ARTV. We've got a very special episode on our hands today because, yes, it is the channel's 8th anniversary. That is absolutely insane. 8 years of ARTV. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and we've got a very special episode of Ranked on our hands today. I am going to be going through ranking all of 3 Days Grace's studio albums, and why 3 Days Grace? Why this shirt? What's the significance? Well, if you're new to the channel, this was the first ever shirt that I was wearing. That sounds so stupid saying that out loud, but this was the first shirt that I ever wore in a review. I was wearing it while reviewing 3 Days Grace and their album Life Starts Now, so it's kind of become tradition to do a 3 Days Grace related video around my anniversary or else on it. And I want to thank my Patreon supporter right here for actually making this video possible. She requested this and I said, hey, would you mind waiting like an extra month for me to fulfill that request? Because I would like to do that for my channel's anniversary. That's a great idea. She was cool with it, so here we are, and I'm going to be ranking all of their studio albums from worst to best. This is all just my opinion, of course, and if you would like to see me make a video like this and you want to get in on supporting the channel, you can check out my Patreon. It's the top link in the description down below. It helps videos like this keep coming on a monthly and yearly basis. 8 years, guys. Thank you so much. Can we get a like? Can we get a like for the 8th anniversary? Thank you. Let's get into the video right now with my very first pick for the worst 3 Days Grace album. You know, revisiting this album in order to prepare for this episode wasn't as much of a nuisance as I thought it would be. With original singer Adam Gontier gone, Matt Walst of My Darkest Days fame stepped in to fill his shoes. The problem was that Matt tried to wear the exact same shoes that Adam had, resulting in the album Human feeling like somebody doing a serviceable karaoke performance, desperately channeling the bitterness and the anger that fueled 3 Days Grace's popularity. If you can get past that, the album has its moments that definitely stand out. Sure, you gotta overlook the predictable WWE-ready landmine and so what, but there are a few promising signs of life in there as well. From the start, I loved Car Crash and the way that it compared an out-of-control relationship to a wreck. The 4 singles were all at least decent, in particular Painkiller feeling like another staple in the band's ever-growing discography, and Human Race really growing on me with time despite its predictability. Throughout this album, you'll hear the familiar guitar tones of Barry Stock, always creating a mood where even if one of the songs comes up on shuffle, you know what band it is right away. Tell Me Why is a pretty good example of that familiar sound, creeping in with that acoustic-led intro before eventually giving way to a soaring hook backed by Neil Sanderson's driving drums. This record has its many flaws, that's for certain, but it's what the band decides to do from here that determines their fate overall. Since 2003, they've released an album every 3 years without fail, so we'll have to wait and see what 2018 holds for the Rockers.
Not so innocent, on the streets, hustling, never been Miss America, in the backseat of a Celica, crashing with a deadbeat, living large on a love seat, in a small town, no scene, turns out it was nothing but a pipe dream.
Honestly, even though this chart's higher than Human, I don't see it as being so superior to the album overall. Neither are bad, just a bit familiar. Even with an exploration of new sounds, the lyrical content felt stagnant on Transit of Venus, like the spark wasn't there for Gontier when penning the lyrics. Maybe this is when he started to realize that things just were not going to work with him staying in the band, and the quality suffered a bit as a result of that. We'll probably never know what was going on behind the scenes during late 2012 and early 2013, but I know one thing, and that is that I truly regret not going to see them on their Intimate Club tour that I had the opportunity to go to that fall, and it ended up being their last tour with Adam. The album is slow to open up right out of the gate with Sign of the Times, as we get a slow, delicately crafted burn that definitely takes its hold. As the album moves forward, I feel like the ideas kinda don't. There's definitely some really solid riffs, differing drum patterns, unique melodies and that sort of thing, but as a whole, this album doesn't stop the itch for something just a little bit more. However, the Michael Jackson cover is badass. Broken Glass features the anger and insight we've come to expect from them, and Expectations is one of the most brilliant songs they've ever done. It tells a story through its verses and pushes the intensity of the chorus and experimentation every single time you listen. A handful of standouts, a handful of forgettables. It is worth revisiting overall to see how it's holding up half a decade later, but I doubt this will get taken off the shelf too many times.
No matter how hard I try, you're never satisfied. This is not a home, I think I'm better off alone. You always disappear, even when you're here.
I'm forever indebted to the NASCAR Thunder 2004 soundtrack. My very conservative aunt gave me the game for PC, not knowing what music was awaiting young, impressionable John on the soundtrack. Avenged Sevenfold, Iggy Pop, Fuel, Sum 41, and of course 3 Days Grace all featured there, and I was in love. I Hate Everything About You was the song in question, and I would sit in the menu of the game just to listen to the song over and over and over again. When I officially got into music the following year in 2005, I begged my friend to burn me a copy of their self-titled record. Trust me, it saw a lot of spins in the years that followed. In fact, 3 Days Grace turned into one of my favorite bands as the years went by. Some of you might look back on this album with negativity due to the simple, relatable message of many of the songs, but the truth is, these dudes did mainstream 2000s rock better than most anyone else. I Hate Everything amped up my love for a slow burn up to a chorus and pain-induced lyrics, just like you pushed the mind to strive for originality instead of falling in line, and Let You Down lassoed a long shelf life with its sinister bass and stabby chorus. I think many forget about some of the deep cuts and closing songs on the self-titled due to how successful their next album was and the success of the singles on this very album. But sometime, take the time and listen to the well-thought-out Take Me Under, or even the slow build on Now or Never next time you revisit their material. It's definitely worth it. The moment that hooked me as a lifelong fan, though, was Home, my first real reminder of who the band were after I started listening to music daily in 2005. I heard it on the radio, it was the single at the time that they were promoting, and I recorded it to a cassette tape right away. I was fascinated with the angst-ridden lyrics that begged for solutions. I wasn't super happy with my life at home, my family was pretty poor, and my parents were against most of the things that I thought were cool. The line, I know you're not there, and I know that you don't care, plus many of the other lyrics struck a chord with me, and it just stuck as Home remains my favorite 3 Days Grace song.
Living in a world so cold, wasted away, living in a shell with no soul, since you've gone away, living in a world so cold.
I hope you guys don't mind these stories that I tell on Ranked, but 2009's Life Starts Now was quite literally my current life starting. If you're new to the channel, let me briefly catch you up. I launched ARTV, known then as Album Review TV, in my bedroom at age 17 on September 29th, 2009. It was my senior year of high school and I had no idea what I was doing. But I knew that I wanted to do YouTube outside of the little skits I had been doing with my friends, and this is what I cooked up.
What's up YouTube? It's Jonathan from Album Reviews TV, and this week I'm reviewing the new 3 Days Grace album, which is called Life Starts Now.
I still love this album, not for the nostalgia factor, but because it saw 3 Days Grace slightly adding to and altering the formula while still sounding fantastic in the process. Piano ballad with a twist, Last to Know is one of the first times I ever truly remember feeling like I felt a singer's pain, and it holds a special place in my heart because of that. World So Cold is one of my favorite choruses in their discography, and Bitter Taste absolutely smashes to pieces any notion of grace Gontier might grant to someone. What a performance from the whole band there as that record opens up with this track. I really enjoyed the sharp shift of subject matter and social commentary on Bully, a darker, rumbling, bassy track that needs no explanation. Just look to the title. I have a lot of love for the closing moments here, like Without You, Going Down. It's really just a vivacious and creative project as a whole. Sure, I have plenty of personal attachment to it, but that doesn't change the fact that Life Starts Now still has a roar to it all these years later.
I swear I never meant to let it die. I just don't care about you anymore. It's not fair when you say that I didn't try. I just don't care about you anymore.
Occasionally cheesy and very much of the 2000s, 1X remains one of my favorite rock records to this day for good reason. Gautier and company had a unique angle that pushed an emotional response from listeners. There's a vulnerability here not seen in much of the mainstream rock at the time. People still cling to this album because much of it does hold some sort of weight and importance to a music fan. 1X rivets with its shining angry singles such as Riot and the ever great Animal I Have Become, but some of the album cuts shine through just as bright, if not brighter. There's a really strong spirit of love and frustration on Over and Over, one of my favorite songs from the band. He desperately wonders why he keeps falling into this relationship that's no good for him. He ponders out loud, and it's still a surprisingly fresh look and sound whenever it comes to that topic. The hard rock edge on Time of Dying helps it stand out. I admire the over-the-top vocal commitment required to make Let It Die work, plus On My Own thunders loudly with these noisy guitars and drums alongside Adam's vow to not need someone else. I'd be pissed at myself if I didn't at least shout out the opening cut, It's All Over. It does an incredible job of drawing your attention with its distorted intro, then quickly kicking off the album with some fascinating shredding and foreboding lyrics. A title track sends this album off on a somewhat stale note that hasn't aged very well, and like I said, there are some cheesy moments that pop up in the track listing, and a few that you might have heard a few too many times. This whole album really honestly holds up. It stacks up well. It wasn't my first 3 Days Grace album by any means, but it's the album that truly made me love them. Thanks so much for tuning into this very special 8th anniversary edition of Ranked right here on ARTV. What did you think about my rankings for the 3 Days Grace albums? How would you rank them? Sound off in the comment section down below. This shirt is very tight and constricting. I did not realize that I could still get into this shirt, but I guess that's a good thing. If I was 17, now I'm 25 and I can still fit in the same shirt. That's good, right? Anyways, drop a like on the video, and if you're able to, please support me on Patreon. It's that top link in the description down below, or now you can tap this annotation right here in the corner of the screen and go directly to that. If you want to see another 3 Days Grace video, tap right here. Another video that I recently uploaded right here. All of my social media can be found in the description down below, and other than that, thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.